It is great to be back in Laredo. We just had a terrific roundtable with law enforcement, community leaders, and stakeholders here in Laredo, talking about the border crisis that's playing out. I'm here with Congressman Chip Roy, Congressman Nancy Mace from South Carolina. Last night we met with Border Patrol leadership, went out on a midnight patrol with the Border Patrol, and then this morning we're meeting with leaders including the mayor, the county judge, the chief of police, and listening to stories about the price that Laredo and South Texas are paying because of the immigration crisis. The very real price in terms of resources, the very real price in terms of crime, the very real price in terms of strain on the education system, on the healthcare system, in terms of the shortage of ICU beds, driven in significant part by spikes in COVID coming from unconstrained illegal immigration. We have a border crisis in our country. It's a crisis that South Texas is on the front lines of and pays the price, but it impacts the entire country. And what is so frustrating, what is so maddening, is that this crisis is man-made. This didn't have to be happening. This crisis is the result of 3 political decisions made by the Biden administration. In the first week in office, Joe Biden, number 1, immediately halted construction of the border wall. Number 2, reinstated the failed policy of catch and release. And number 3, ended the incredibly successful Remain in Mexico agreement. Remain in Mexico was an agreement that President Trump had negotiated with the government of Mexico, where the government of Mexico agreed that those people who cross illegally into Mexico from Central and South America, that they would remain in Mexico while their U.S. asylum cases were proceeding. That agreement proved to be a tremendous success. So much so that last year, we had the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. We know how to solve this problem. The very first week in office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris tore that agreement to pieces. Said the United States would no longer comply by it, and we saw an explosion in illegal immigration. We've already seen over 1 million illegal immigrants cross into this country in 7 months under the Biden administration. We are on pace for more than 2 million illegal immigrants coming into this country. This is in the midst of a global pandemic on COVID, where we're seeing the administration releasing illegal immigrants into South Texas, into our communities with very high rates of COVID positivity. This is irresponsible, and it makes no sense. It's also cruel. So many of the immigrants who are coming are children, our family units. I've spent a lot of time down at the border in the last 9 years I've served in the Senate. I've never seen it remotely as bad as it is right now. I've seen lines of people in the Rio Grande Valley walking up, children, 5, 6-year-old kids walking alone, little girls, little boys. I've seen moms, young moms carrying infants, nursing infants, walking along the path, being loaded into cages. Sadly, I've been to the Biden cages. The Donna tent facility, a massive tent city built with little boys and little girls packed in there one on top of each other. The rate of COVID positivity when I was last at the Donna facility was over 10%. Last night when we were on patrol, you don't have to be out very long to encounter people crossing illegally or trying to cross illegally. Within just a few minutes of patrolling the border, we encountered a group on the other side of the river, a group that had been identified as 33 people trying to cross. We could see them with their flashlights shining at us. They knew we spotted them. They weren't the least bit concerned. They knew Border Patrol was there. They weren't the least bit concerned. This crisis is a humanitarian disaster. It's a public safety disaster. It's a national security disaster. And it's a public health disaster. It is man-made. And I'll tell you a lot of what was expressed around this round table. Look, around this round table, there were Democrats, there were Republicans, there were people across the political aisle. Nobody here in South Texas thinks what's happening on the border makes sense. And I think it is imperative for politicians in Washington to listen to the people of Laredo, to listen to the people of South Texas, and to recognize that this lawlessness has to stop. And it will only stop when we have a president and an administration willing to enforce the law. As long as the Biden administration says we will not enforce the law, we will release the people we apprehend, the crisis will keep getting worse and worse and worse. And that is terrible for Texas. It's terrible for the country. Congressman